Aloha, mother fathers. Welcome in another episode of the Side Hustle podcast across all those silly little streaming platforms: YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it now, TikTok, everything. Kyle Cornell, Anthony Alfred with you as always. Episode number bajillion at this point. We're
15. Episode 15.
Is it really 15?
I don't know, but I confidently
It felt good
gave
when
you
you
an
said
answer.
it. It felt really good when you said it. I wasn't sure.
I believe this is 15.
Shit,
But
all right.
it could be 12. It ain't 20, but it could be 15. I confidently said, you know what they say when you first start dating, you got to fake it till you make it?
Okay.
And nobody knows how to execute that. Nobody knows how to execute that. Maybe.
Well,
But if you
if I
confidently
talk
give
to
an
my
answer-
ex-wife.
But if you confidently give an answer, you may have a shot.
So this podcast is a sophomore in high school right now.
7th grade.
You were
I'm kidding.
you were
No.
15 in 7th grade?
No, I mean,
That's
no.
why we were in the same college
I
class.
know,
Okay,
I
that
know.
makes more sense
No.
now. All right.
No, 15. Yeah, sophomore. Yeah.
So how old I was.
Yeah, sophomore. Yeah, 15. Yeah.
And you
But-
were a 7th grader. How did it feel to be 15?
Same height, too.
I said, how did it feel to be 15 in 7th grade and still the shortest kid in your class?
So here's the funny thing. In 7th grade, I was not the shortest kid in the class.
You were probably the tallest.
I
You were
was.
close.
I went up the charts.
Yeah.
And then 7th grade, they say when you grow facial hair, it kind of cuts off.
Really?
They say when I was told by a doctor that I trust somewhere,
Dr. Phil.
somewhere, whoever Aaron Rodgers talks to, the doctor that I trust, that once you start growing facial hair, you stop physically growing. Again, the doctor that Aaron Rodgers talks to, that's who
Huh.
I trust. You see his comments today?
I'd rather not.
Do not address that.
I'd rather not.
They were.
I've said enough controversial things, and I'm sure there's more to come. I want it to be under my own volition this time.
Let's talk about what started the HIV.
Okay.
We're presented by LPV Productions.
You see that? That was Double A hopping on his segue.
Yes. And I'm out.
And he's out.
I'm out. No,
Now, you've walked off the set before. Let's try and keep it till the end of the show.
no health tips today. We got a busy show. We got a packed show
There's
today.
a lot going on.
A ton of WWE stuff we're going to get to. Like, a ton of things we got to hit on. A ton of fun things we got planned for today. But we're going to start with this. Were you at this show?
No.
That sounds like a no.
Like most people, you probably weren't. Good God.
So look at this stat here. So this Twitter user said this, that apparently AEW. So first off, WWE had a televised sellout streak that ended this past Monday in Canada.
Did it?
It did. It
Really?
ended. Yeah, Montreal did not sell out.
You would think for Sami Zayn with the IC title, they would have still found a way to get all the people in there. But still, 15,000 or whatever it is, still not bad.
15,000 there.
15,000 in a 17, 18,000 seat arena. Well, we'll take it.
15,000. But the streak ended,
Oh, no.
18 straight sellouts,
Yeah.
and that streak ended on Monday. Well, AEW has, as of this tweet, this was from Tuesday, so we don't know how they did last night with Dynamite, but I'm assuming we could up the 79 number to 80. 79 straight televised shows, Dynamite and Collision, where AEW has not sold out a televised weekly taping. I believe the date you would have to go back to October of 2022, the last time AEW sold out, at that point, AEW Dynamite. Again, we're not counting the pay-per-views. We're not counting, of course, the one show that Tony Khan, which we'll play a clip in just a little bit.
They popped the rating for like 5 minutes.
We're not talking about All In, as he'll mention in this clip. I hope you know this, Kyle, that they sold 81,000 in London. You know, I hope you know that. If you don't know that, I need to let you know that they sold 81,000 seats at AEW All In last
This
August.
guy literally gives me a headache. I swear to God. Like, he literally gives me a headache. Every time I hear him talk, it's like, why are you talking? If he had one person that could just get through to him and just be like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be the figurehead of this anymore. You can be the boss behind the scenes. Have someone else do the actual talking and PR and all this stuff. But the problem is he's young, dumb, and full of probably cum because he looks like a virgin. So, I mean, this is what it is. I mean, he's going to go out there and, peacock over fucking 800,000 people watching the show when Raw had its worst rating in forever and they got 1.8 million. So it's like...
You're not getting this, Kyle. 81,000 was at AEW All In London.
Yeah, it's also because it's London. The independents all sell out there too when they host smaller shows, whatever it is. They love wrestling over there, and they're malnourished when it comes to these kind of names. Also, one of the guys that you built the show on left the company right afterward, and you haven't been the same since. So, I mean...
Who, by the way, and we'll give credit, kind of, CM Punk drew a great rating for Raw, the week before.
Yeah.
One of the guys. CM Punk, his interest also drew a great rating for AEW Dynamite last week. So...
He won a match last week, apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
Impromptu backstage
How about
brawl.
that?
Yeah. Got the final results on that one. We've been waiting for 9 months.
The one thing I'll give Tony Khan credit, he does interviews. He gives us great content.
Don't give him credit.
I do, because it gives us great content.
I would be so happy if we didn't even talk about AEW.
I sent you a quote. If we do this podcast long enough, we might outlast.
No.
They'll be around.
The money is large and in charge, and again, it's owned by Tony Khan. So as long as he still has the cash flow to go into it, which when you're a billionaire or a son of a billionaire, it's not running out. He can spend $200 million a year and lose millions of dollars a year, and it's not going to hurt the bottom line because he has other businesses that are already established in the NFL, in the Premier League. So he doesn't have to worry about making money with AEW. He can just have fun and host a wannabe fanboy 5-star match fest whenever he wants and have no repercussions for it.
Well, the key is going to be TV time. To this point...
Well, TNT wants to keep him too because they want some sort of wrestling.
Well, but to this point, they have not signed. And if they do sign, or we assume when they sign, then... they can continue on, and
they lost their
AEW
leverage. They lost their leverage because WWE already signed their TV rights deals for SmackDown, for Raw, for NXT even.
Mm-hmm.
So and there's no Peacock's keeping the WWE network, so to speak. They're keeping that the PLEs. So TNT doesn't really have a spot of going like, okay, well, you guys need to get going here because we're thinking about talking with them. They don't have that card anymore. So AEW can kind of play a little bit back, like, hey, you guys don't have anybody else. You're not going to give it to TNA. We still draw better than them. So you're going to have to, if you want professional wrestling, you're going to have to do what we want.
That's going to be the key.
So it's going to be a back and forth.
Well, that's going to be the key. Does Turner want professional do they want professional wrestling when they're doing TV shows in front of all this? All I'm saying is this. I think years ago, WCW thought it was a guarantee that they was going to have TV time. When Eric Bischoff, his group, wanted to buy WCW. The deal was ready to go back in 2000, 2001. The deal was ready to go. All they needed was 2 hours on TNT on Monday night. And there was an executive who did not like professional wrestling. I know there's different people there now. But there was an executive, and all it takes is 1 or 2 executives in there who did not like professional wrestling, who did not see the appeal of professional wrestling on their network. They saw the ratings on their show compared to what WWE was drawing. And those executives said, you could buy our company, but you got to get your TV time somewhere else. If the same thing happens here, how much longer is Tony going to want to invest? Like, what other network is going to want like a big time network.
Somebody will like.
I'm not talking about like where TNA airs now.
Well, like
but
Spike or one of those networks that will just do it just to get ratings. And I think when Tony brings those numbers to the table for TNT executives, he's not bringing in, us versus WWE. He may bring in numbers versus NXT if he does anything like that. But the big thing he's going to bring in is, look at our numbers on this night compared to every other show on TV. He wants to show that. It's like, oh, we were like the 5th most popular show on TV, as opposed to, oh, look at us versus our direct competitor that we reference multiple times now, apparently every show.
Yeah, and
like
that's
because it's not even close. They're killing them by more than double.
That was the weird thing to me when AEW started. For the first 2 years, they really did not acknowledge WWE.
And Cody did a little bit.
Cody did. Cody has some moments.
Yeah.
But Tony did not acknowledge really WWE at all.
They tried to really focus on, hey, we're sports-based. We're going to be an alternative. We're just going to do our own thing. Reference here and there, but not like every week down your throat. Oh, you had to almost watch the other show, wink, wink, to know what we're talking about. That kind of thing. It's like you're turning more heads to WWE, and the problem is when you're doing that so people can get caught up, they're going to like that product more because it's better produced, it's better written, and there's more stars. There just is.
So Kyle presented me with an idea, which we will present to you.
You brought this up originally. I said, man, fuck that. But then I actually thought about it more, and as we kind of as we kind of grow right with this podcast and try to grow, obviously,
I'm a little concerned about. I love the idea, but I'm a little concerned about the execution of this idea. And you'll understand why in a little bit. That's a little tease for you.
Yeah.
After we play this clip. So let's set this up
here.
We'll
do that first. Yeah,
so stick around for a little bit because this is a little bit of a longer clip here.
2.5 minutes. It's worth listening to if you want to bash your head against the wall.
So Tony Khan, the reason why we appreciate him doing interviews, he gives us content. He went on a radio show, the Chris Russell show in D.C., on Team 980, their radio station out there in Washington, D.C., an Odyssey station.
Great job to get him, by the way, too. Tony's usually pretty mute when it comes to interviews. Ask Ariel Helwani about that.
It was a good gig considering Dynamite last night is in Indianapolis.
Yeah, what the fuck?
So, anywho.
Dynasty's not going to be in D.C. It's going to be in St. Louis.
It's going to be in St. Louis.
Yeah,
I got a little news about that coming up, too.
What the fuck is he doing on a D... All right, go ahead.
So he went on a radio show, the Chris Russell show in Washington, D.C. on Team 980 out there in D.C., their sports talk station.
2010 Disney Channel, so random. That's what that is. Legit. Look it up.
So last week, I think our most viewed clip on YouTube, it was more of your response because I was just in shock about last week's, the Young Bucks showing the CM Punk Jack Perry footage, and you took the reins on that because I was just shocked.
It's a 6-minute promo, just on that whole situation.
So the host asked Chris. He asked, he's like, I like AEW. I like what you bring to the table, but what exactly was the purpose of airing the CM Punk footage? Again, take a listen. This is like a 3-minute response. Take a listen.
Well, I think it made a lot of sense. First of all, Young Bucks FTR ladder match coming up at AEW Dynasty for the World Tag Team Championships. This is the 4th chapter in FTR versus the Young Bucks. I believe they're the 2 greatest tag teams in wrestling, the 2 best tag teams on the planet. And the last time they wrestled, Young Bucks FTR 3, was at Wembley Stadium, AEW All In.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot happened that day. I mean, those guys at one point, they were the 3rd match on the pay-per-view. And at one point, it looked like we were going to have to call them up and they were going to have to wrestle the first match. And then they ended up going on in the spot they were in. But the Young Bucks said the whole day, everything that happened, it really affected their mental preparation. They weren't able to pray before the match. They were very stressed out. And they slipped on the banana peel, lost the match, and they blame FTR. They blame what happened at Wembley Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, in hindsight, that's why they refused to shake FTR's hand in front of those 81,035 fans, the biggest crowd ever in pro wrestling. AEW, if you didn't know, drew the all-time record for tickets sold for that event, All In. And that big crowd, they saw this great match, and at the end, they may have been wondering what was going through Young Bucks' minds when they wouldn't shake FTR's hands when they blew off that sportsmanship. And that's what was going through their minds. We've seen the Young Bucks change a lot. We saw them get really dark during the retirement run of Sting, and they've only gotten darker and more twisted, and that's why they felt like they should play this tape. And it was fascinating to see after that tape played the reaction that Jack Perry got at New Japan Pro Wrestling this week. He got the reaction of a superstar, and that is not altogether unexpected, and it is something very interesting, perhaps a side effect of this. You know, Jack Perry already a big star in wrestling. Really, the way the crowd connected with him in Chicago, that was interesting to see. Definitely leaves a lot of intrigue going into tomorrow night on TBS, AEW Dynamite coming off last week, and also into AEW Dynasty pay-per-view this weekend. The Young Bucks are involved in a big match at the pay-per-view, and they have a big match tomorrow on Dynamite on TBS. So it's going to be a big week for AEW and a big week for Young Bucks versus FTR, and it all starts tomorrow on TBS at 8 p.m.
Doc, you got one more?
So the first thing, can we talk about what he said at the end about Jack Perry? He was treated like a superstar, and the people of Chicago really knew, and he was way over.
Yeah, all 1,000 of those people were really over the moon for him.
You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. So we had to play the entire answer, and I had to set up the question because somehow, I wanted everyone to hear how Tony somehow tried to connect the dots and relate to. Now, again, this is a sports talk radio show in D.C., and they're trying to connect somehow, shape or form. They're trying to connect to what they're seeing on a television show. They don't know all the inside stuff that's going on. They don't know, and quite frankly, they don't care what's going on in the inside stuff. They want to see what's going on the TV. At what moment, when you're watching that clip, you're thinking to yourself, man, I'm really thinking about the Young Bucks. I'm really thinking about FTR. No. You're watching CM Punk as the only grown adult back there, and Samoa Joe, as the only grown adult back there, beating up this little kid who also, by the way, Kyle, is not on the TV either. He's not on this pay-per-view. He's not on AEW Dynasty this Sunday. And again, quite honestly, we're taping on a Wednesday night. So if he showed up last night and this part of the clip is wrong, I really don't care.
They'd save it for Dynasty because Tony thinks it's a big deal. I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up and helps the Bucks win.
Cool.
And the crowd will go mild.
Cool.
That's not true. Usually for their pay-per-views, because everyone just wants to see good matches. They don't care about stories at that point. They just know AEW has good matches on their pay-per-views. They'll probably get close to a sellout, if not near it. But there's a reason why TV is doing terrible. I mean, it's because of shit like this. It's, I've cut my promo on AEW. I feel like I'm almost tired of being just so relentlessly negative to them. It brings down my mood. It affects, my night when I react like that.
It affects our prep too.
I'm not apologizing for any of it because it's all true and I stand by everything I said. But at the same point, it's like, piling on this guy and this promotion when there's people like MJF, Adam Cole, Samoa Joe, Swerve. There's guys there that are so damn good. And, some of that was fumbling by WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Cole should have never stepped in that promotion. I thought he was going to be the next Cody Rhodes in who he is now in WWE. I thought that's who Adam Cole was destined to be. Triple H, I think, thought so too. The guy who didn't is no longer there.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of too late.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be big watching Adam Cole over the next few years and watching this promotion because he'd be so fucking over in WWE.
We always talk about timing, right, Kyle? We always talk about timing.
He had a made faction that could have went up against like a Bloodline or whatever it was because they had that kind of talent. They had a leader. They had a voice. He was great at promos. Obviously one of the best wrestlers in the world when he's healthy, which I hope he's on the mend and getting better. But like, man, there's so much talent over there, and it's wasted. On the girls' side too, Toni Storm. There's a couple of them that it's like, man, what the fuck are you doing there?
And it's a great roster. They have a great roster. If you look at the card,
is it this Sunday or is it next Sunday?
This upcoming Sunday.
Oh shit!
This weekend.
Okay. Wow.
In St. Louis. If you look at this card, without even knowing the stories, there's some pretty good matches. Obviously, the world title match, Samoa Joe and Swerve. You know, we're a big Samoa Joe show. You know, love his promos, love everything. You know, I'm not saying we support the Diddy line, but that was funny.
That's pretty good.
It was good.
Pretty good, yeah.
But Swerve, that could be his moment on Sunday at St. Louis. Of course, Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa. That could be a good match. And again, if you didn't know anything about the story, Young Bucks and FTR is a dream match. If you didn't know anything about the story, if you didn't know anything about...
To who?
As far as like...
To AEW fans, maybe.
As far as like styles and things like that, you could say that. But the problem is, I did it on purpose. I said what I just said because one of the downfalls of the company is they will tell you, this is a dream match.
Why? Why should I care if I haven't watched these guys? Why, if I heard, oh, there's a wrestling show on Wednesday nights, I do watch WWE, or I did watch WWE, maybe I'll give it a shot. Why should I stick around? Because you tell me they're really talented? No, you have production for a reason. You spend all this money employing all these people to literally build up your program, to build up your wrestlers. You don't do it. They walk down to the ring and fucking Excalibur behind his dumbass mask gives you 2 facts about the people that are coming down, or tells you, oh, they fought so-and-so 2 weeks ago and it came out weird and they're hoping to get back. Like, there's
a picture!
There is a reason why Double A has asked me multiple times to watch a full Dynamite, and he just found out recently too, I fucking can't. Like, it's difficult.
So why do you... Let's talk about this. So why do you want to do this? All right, let's tell you what... So...
Your idea originally.
My idea. You slammed it down, and I'm like, okay, that's not really a big deal.
But then I had a week to think about it.
And then,
like, you know what? We could actually have a lot more fun with some of the other topics in this. But
yeah.
we know where we have to start.
So I said, all right, let's actually sit through an episode of Dynamite. Let's sit through an episode, and then let's do a full reaction of Dynamite. Let's do a full reaction.
That's what you originally said.
Yeah.
And I told you promptly to fuck off.
You did. And as a grown man, I should have said something in response.
You should have broke some glass, yeah.
You were right. You were right.
You tried.
But then, earlier this week, you wanted to call me. So I didn't answer your phone. You wanted to call, but my DoorDash driver couldn't find my apartment.
No, it's fine.
Like I ordered Chipotle, and oh, Pete, you'll love this. I was ordering Chipotle, and you look at the DoorDash and you see the cars just looping around your place, but they never really stop. And then you go outside.
He's pulling a Dale Earnhardt around my apartment. He made another left turn. He made another left turn.
And I go out the one entrance, not there. Go out the other entrance, not there. And then we have multiple buildings in our complex, so I'm just thinking. And then I see the alert. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to hand you the food. I'm going to drop it off at the door. Oh, that sucks.
Because you don't know which fucking door you're supposed to
go
to.
You know exactly what that means. You know, your burrito is about to end up at the other apartment.
Some dude going to come home from work. Oh, shit.
So at the same time, I see Kyle. I see this note. Like, hey, I'm like, I can't right now. But what did you send me?
So after actually chewing on the idea for a little while and kind of seeing,
Appropriate wording.
literally chewing on it, spitting it out, kicking it against the wall, that kind of shit. Thought about, obviously, like I said before, kind of growing this podcast to really become more of a content creation, central, so to speak. Thinking about YouTube, that kind of stuff, and how we can keep getting to more audience and kind of try not to be maybe as negative, but maybe trying to fix some of the negatives we've noticed, some people have noticed in the world of pro wrestling and that kind of stuff. And it doesn't have to be just now, it could be over the course of history, right? We have a Rolodex that's a mile long of bad gimmicks, bad promotions, things that went wrong, things that just didn't go the way they should have, maybe things that should have been just tweaked a little bit. So Double A's original idea was to try to sit through an AEW show and, break it all down. And obviously we're not going to fucking do that. But we thought about starting a Fix-It series inside the podcast. It'd be obviously airing probably about once a month because we don't want to overkill it. But taking dedicated time to go through, like we said, a promotion like AEW. Gimmicks that maybe you guys can reach out to us and let us know you thought, why didn't that work? How can we fix that? Now, we are by no means experts, but we've watched professional wrestling long enough to kind of have an idea to see how things go when they're supposed to work and how they're supposed to go and when things don't. And when it's like, oh, that wasn't a great idea. Hindsight, of course, is 2020. But how would you build it to where it actually becomes a success? That's where we could come in.
We want to fill these seats up there.
Yeah.
All, it looks lonely behind Kyle right now. We want to fill those seats.
It's a true statement from the standpoint of competition is sorely needed. As much as we think WWE's firing on all cylinders right now, it'd be great to have another promotion. They only drew 100,000 less on the ratings, because that keeps WWE's foot to the floor, and it also lifts up the other promotion too. There's a reason why the Attitude Era is considered the best era of professional wrestling. It's because, despite a lot of the hot dogging and bullshit, there were two companies that were at each other's necks at the ratings for multiple years, and it made wrestling more popular than it made it. I know The Rock made it made wrestling cool again. It made it cool to begin with.
It did.
After falling off in the 90s and the early and mid 90s, to be able to the mid-ish end of late 90s, it was bigger than it's ever been because of that.
I always believe professional wrestling, I always believe that it all comes in cycles. So if you're in a down period, you might be in the gutter, and then eventually you come back up if you find the right steps. And I also believe too, you could be on a high. Like Triple H right now is on a high, and there's going to come a point in time where we're going to legitimately question his decision making.
There is momentum in everything, right? In any show, look at Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah,
hot for how 9 seasons there was. First 7, 8 seasons. First couple seasons, maybe it was a little bit of a lull. You have to kind of sit through some stuff. It's a lot of building. But the middle seasons, everyone's like, this is the best fucking show ever. It's my top 3. People didn't like the last season. They didn't like it at all, right? I mean, you can have momentum and lose it pretty quick based on a couple creative decisions that don't follow maybe the books or follow, a path that you've built to that point. That's again where we kind of have this idea to try and fix some of that stuff. Obviously, the inaugural episode will be Kyle and Double A Fix AEW.
Yeah, and we'll move. We got a ton of WWE stuff to get to.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll say about this, there's a ton. Again, I think this roster. Again, you just look at the names. If I gave you a piece of paper and say, "Hey, here's your roster, figure it out," you could do something obviously with this roster. And this is there's 8 matches. You could do something with this and everything, but there's a ton of things. There's some hard decisions you got to make too. This is not the entire roster, obviously. If we had the entire roster, obviously.
You think WWE's roster is big? Their talent pool is, and they just keep signing people. And the thing is, until recently, when Tony decided to let go of 10 people that don't even have a name, they weren't releasing anybody. It was you basically you'll get paid every week, whether you're on TV or not, all guaranteed contracts, no matter what. And that worked really well for WCW too. I mean, you're carbon copying that promotion, except just not being as hot.
Yeah.
Not being as popular.
And then, so look forward to that. It's a project we're excited for. And
beginning of May, right?
we've been bitching about AEW now for the last.
Oh, so do you want to let the people know, since we're on AEW too, you are going to this?
I am. So
you're going to St. Louis for Dynasty.
Yeah. So my buddies from college.
Try not to fall asleep while you're there. I suggest getting plenty of drinks beforehand.
We will be in St. Louis. I've never been to St. Louis before.
There's an arch there, as you can see. In the
yeah.
picture.
I'm looking forward to St. Louis. I'm looking forward to. We're gonna hit the road Friday night after work. We'll make a pit stop in Indianapolis, and then Saturday we'll head over to St. Louis. We'll have a good time Saturday, and then Sunday we'll attend the pay-per-view. My one buddy is a huge AEW fan, so he's up to speed on all the thoroughly on all the storylines and stuff. So I want to pick his brain, kind of what he's thinking. But
don't pick it too hard; you might break it.
I know, but my other buddy Ethan, my longtime college buddy, we've known each other since freshman year. We talked about this actually the other day. They're going to deliver on a pay-per-view. The one thing you can count on AEW, they do deliver on pay-per-views. They're going to deliver on pay-per-views. Again, you talk about match qualities and stuff like that, and they're going to make you feel good. But I told them, same thing, I'm like, I can't sit through an episode of Dynamite.
It's not going to mean anything. You can have 10 5-star matches, but if it doesn't draw people in and keep them.
And we're both in the same, like, Ethan, we're in the same boat. Like, we try, like, you know.
I can go to PWG in fucking California and watch a 5-star match. Doesn't mean it's going to sell, 1.5 million people on fucking Fox or TNT or TBS or Spike or any of these fucking networks. They're having 5-star matches here in Cleveland at the Indies.
Yeah.
These kids that are, well trained actually and know what they're doing, but it doesn't mean anything. That's.
And the one thing these local promotions are doing, again, we mentioned, Exodus Pro Wrestling and, AIW, like the thing that these guys are doing, even if you're going to the show for the first time or the second time, or if you missed a show but you're popping back in, you'll know, even if you jump back in, what the story is. Like they're inviting you in a good television show, a good whatever. They will, even if you miss an episode, if you jump back in, either you're able to catch right back up, or it is designed to, if you do miss an episode, the show is so compelling that you do make an effort to go back and see what's going on. And AEW, again, used to be that way, where it was compelling, but it ain't.
Why do you think that, like, shows that are on all the time, like, they have previously on?
Mm-hmm.
Like, previously on Grey's Anatomy, or there's a reason why they have that. So if
Dragon Ball Z is the greatest example. The greatest example.
Which there are a bunch of weeboo freaks over at AEW. You think they would actually know about, like, the manga and all that shit, and the
Last time on Dragon Ball Z.
They take literally 2 minutes at the beginning of every Dragon Ball Z episode to catch you up on what happened the previous one, and sometimes the ones before.
Oh yeah.
So you're like, oh.
Right.
Shit, okay, well, yeah, let's go. Like,
and sometimes in a good TV show, sometimes if you see the previously on and you look at the clip like, oh crap, how did oh, I gotta go back and watch that episode. Even if I've seen it, I gotta go back and kind of get the chip. They're return on investment.
You're investing more time in the actual product that's in front of you instead of just, we open the show and there's 2 guys in the ring. Here we go, ding ding.
It's TV product.
Like, what the fuck?
It's writing a TV show. That's what they're missing. They have a great roster, like you said, to put together 5-star matches. Their issue is they don't know how to write a TV show.
And like, so people will say,
and they're 5 years in, and they don't know how to write a TV show.
Not they, it's him. But the problem with all this is too, people will say, like, it's sports-based. It's supposed to be about competition. It makes sense that even, like, NFL games have pregame video intros where they hype up, the team and the players. And, he had 500 yards passing last week and 4 touchdowns. Like,
why is the
NFL
like, and the NBA talked about 24/7 on ESPN, FS1? They don't talk. Oh, well, let's look at the box score and see what happened. Nobody looking at the box score.
It helps, but it's all encompassing. It's not just one thing. I'm not saying having 5-star matches is a bad thing. I'm saying that it's a full product.
Mm-hmm.
WWE is a more full product, and if you think it's not, you're just fucking lying to yourself.
Yeah, it's a problem.
They are more well-rounded.
I'll give you a review of the city of St. Louis though next week.
I'm
I
looking
am
forward
excited
to,
about
yeah, St. Louis will be fun, yeah. And you get to watch a full AEW pay-per-view, and that's going to be
We'll pregame.
interesting.
We'll-
You're going to need to.
We'll pregame.
All right.
All right, let's get to some news here, WWE. Some sad news first off, but talking about storytelling, and I know it was inadvertent, but maybe it makes sense.
Do you think this is? I think this is bullshit.
I kind of do too.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
I think that wedding ring on her finger looks it's going to change soon. I don't know. I think she may be getting a little band on top of that.
So the story: Rhea's hurt. Rhea has to drop the belt. They're gonna crown a new woman. Let's just get right to it.
Yeah.
What if they just name Liv Morgan the champion next?
That'd be
time Monday?
hilarious. They'll have some sort of like, oh, it's gonna be Liv and Nia and like two other people, like some sort of like crazy man. Although I don't think they're gonna do a tournament because they're gonna name a new champion next week. So it's gonna be like the previous recent challengers or whatever. And Liv will obviously get a spot because she took her out.
Yeah.
It's a long story to build to Rhea Liv. I think they're really once we heard before when Liv didn't get suspended about the marijuana stuff. That they were like really big on Liv and they were going to try and build her up. Don't also be shocked too if you see someone like Roxanne Perez or one of these NXT girls get that call. Also, someone can bleed over from SmackDown because of the draft. Tiffany Stratton could be someone that's like, oh, we're gonna throw you in because Rhea's hurt. I mean, I feel like bad for saying she's probably not injured. She might be. I mean, you never know. Those backstage segments are getting a lot more physical now, so I mean, you never know. She whipped that fucking chair at her, too.
She kind of did.
That was hilarious.
She kind of did.
It's still the biggest pop I get is like when someone gets something just thrown at them like really hard,
Yeah.
and it's almost, they play it off when they didn't see it coming.
Uh-huh.
I still remember when Braun Strowman whipped the chair at Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I do too.
I fucking died.
I don't know why.
I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like you never see that, like an office chair. He whipped it. I'm like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah.
I had to like rewind it and watch it again because I was like, "What?"
It's
Like it's insane. Like that spot still gets me. But
my idea. I mean, if you want to fill TV time, you could do a 4-person tournament. Semifinals,
yeah.
and then the main event. Have your finals. I think they'll probably go that route.
Two triple threats, and then they do like a main event, maybe.
Yeah, either 2 triple threats or 2 1-on-1s, and then.
Well, you want to
the
try and get
winners.
exposure, right,
You
for as
know,
many women as possible. It makes sense
Ultimately,
to-
I think the final will be Liv versus Nia Jax.
kind of has to be
I think it will be.
because Becky's not coming back yet.
Yeah. Well, on Twitter, Becky, I guess, is doing the
Book tour.
Yeah, she's doing the book tour.
That's her break. She
Yeah.
gets to go sell her book more.
But as far as television, it wouldn't make. She's a babyface, so it wouldn't make sense to have her back, even for TV purposes.
Well, I mean, technically, Liv is right now leaning towards heel.
Mm.
Nia's already a full-blown monster heel. So you kind of would, because if it's Liv and Nia, Liv's not going to get cheered.
You don't think Liv's gonna get cheered?
No, people are
against Nia.
I think they're both going to get booed. I
don't think so.
I
think
think
people love Liv. More.
no. After people love mommy, people love Rhea. If she really did hurt her, you heard the reaction. They're leaning into Liv being bad now, which is good because she has that. She needs to have that persona. I think she's better as a heel. When she talks as a babyface, it's hard to really get invested in what she's saying. But at the same point, I think they cheered Nia over them cheering Liv.
I disagree with that.
Were you listening on Raw?
Well,
She was getting booed out of the building.
Well, Rhea's the most popular woman on the roster.
And they're just going to forget about her injuring her from week from now, right?
What have we learned from the Triple H WWE? Just because you're a bad guy or a good guy in one situation, you are who you are.
They can present.
You don't have to be. You don't have to be defined as, oh, you're good and that's it, or you're bad and that's it. There's shades of gray.
Which is where she's going to land.
Yeah,
she will act like a tweener. But I
as
think
she should. But there's no way.
I think the crowd will honestly. I think the crowd's going to boo them both.
There's no way Nia gets cheered. There's no way.
I think the crowd's going to end up booing them both, or they're going to be mild, just because it's not Rhea, and there's not another name there. This would be a great time for someone to like come back. Like if Trish was looking for like another run or something like that, because it is kind of like a placement holder title until she comes back, or someone like Bianca or whatever that needs to like maybe like. But she's obviously going to go for the tag titles. Maybe this is where you give Jade her spot. I wouldn't do it, but I mean like they already booked Bayley and Naomi for SmackDown this week,
Mm-hmm.
so it's kind of tough to swing Naomi over there. Like,
no, you don't have to swing anybody over. Again, unless you look at the fill qualifying spots.
but they're
give the belt to Liv.
Then neither of them are going to get cheered. If she gets the belt, she's really going to get booed.
Oh, I'm not. Yes, but that's down the road. The whole point.
That's now. She will get booed when she wins Monday night if she does.
But she'll get a reaction.
Yeah, well,
I think she'll get a reaction.
That's fine. That's great.
Yeah, she'll
use it because she needs it.
She's gonna get a reaction, and this is her opportunity. This run, she's gonna have 3 months where she's gonna have the strap. She's gonna have 3 months where she'll have the championship, and then Rhea, when she comes back, will be massive she comes back.
Well, she'll be the face that's like the anti-hero, all that stuff.
Oh
too,
yeah.
But I'm not saying
you can make money like her coming back. You can make money with a return match against Liv.
Probably at SummerSlam.
And it might be SummerSlam. Yeah.
It's the time frame works out pretty well. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing either. I think Liv needs to be a heel. So this is good.
Yeah.
That's good heat. If she's going to get booed walking into that arena, I think she should just embrace it.
Let's see how much, I'm not saying mic time, but like, backstage things, like how much
just be cocky.
Mm-hmm.
Just be that persona. It's you have it set up like it. Just do it. Just do it. Like I'm talking like Taylor Swift, Katy Perry. Like just do it. Like just fuck that bitch. Like just
Speaking of Taylor Swift, big weekend.
Fuck that. Damn it. Jesus.
Why do people hate R-Truth?
I love R-Truth.
He's
the one comedy segment on the show, which is this is how people may not like it, whatever, but this is how you do it. You don't have multiple segments every hour where it's like, what the fuck was that? Like that's why it's more special because it's him.
And the dude's like legitimately funny.
And he's actually good at he's a good wrestler too.
Yeah.
Like he's actually talented, and he embraced the comedy role so he could have longevity in the business. He could have stayed. Remember, people forget he was a main eventer at one point. He was fighting John Cena for the WWE Championship. He was doing it.
You want to talk about long-term storytelling?
Little Jimmy almost made an appearance, but he can't.
He was in the ring with Triple H, or in our true size Ciampa, and
they do kind of look similar.
He looked at Triple H and said, basically, he took out little Jimmy.
You made him disappear.
You made him disappear.
He stepped.
Do you remember that from years ago? Triple H was like, "Who's that? You?" You mentioned last week about Cody and Rock
with the championship.
holding the championship.
Mm-hmm.
Another form of if you got it, you got it. Long-term story. If you were around during the dark days of WWE and Capital Punishment, oh boy,
what a pay-per-view!
That was again a month before the Summer of Punk.
Almost as rough as Tony Khan doing a random interview in DC.
Again, we talk about being in the gutter. That was in the gutter then.
But a callback. What was that, like 2008, 2009?
2011.
11? Yeah, fuck.
June of 2011.
That's 13 years ago. Where these massive callbacks for people that suffered through some shitty television. Like, that's awesome. Like, to get rewarded now for sticking with the product, I mean, it's great. And listen, at some point, AEW may be able to get to that point. Who knows? Probably if Tony decides to hand over the reins to somebody else and just take a back seat. If that happens, great. If not, well, we're fucked. But, I mean, like, they don't have enough time yet to have a payoff because they've only been living for 5 years. AEW's only been alive for 5 years.
Yeah.
WWE's been around for, 70 years as WWF before that and all that shit, right? So it's been around forever. I mean, they have the ability to call back on these moments, whereas other promotions don't, per se. But how you call back on them makes a big difference, too.
So what's the difference? We'll keep it to 60 seconds because after that we're done with AEW. What's the difference between this callback, the callback WWE had last week with Cody and Rock?
Yeah.
Technically, the Young Bucks and CM Punk, that was a callback. What's the difference between the callbacks we referenced with WWE and the CM Punk callback?
Well, all the stars were on WWE. That's the first fucking problem. Like you said, there was one star in that video, and he doesn't work there anymore.
Yeah.
But he's on their TV show, and he's in your hearts, and he's in your head, and he's on your fucking entrance when you walk out. You're wearing shit on your back. Like, tell me you need attention that bad,
Yeah.
or you just can't get over. Like you're lost and you can't get over. He's going to be AEW's Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
He'll come back, and the 3,000 to 4,000 people in attendance will go crazy, and Tony will play it up like it's a big deal. But no one fucking knows who Jack Perry is. You probably didn't even know what I was talking about until I said his name. I mean, and even then, you're probably like, "Who's Jack Perry?" Like it's the difference is again, it's the people in charge and how they handle that. Also, again, it's the people that are involved: Rock, Cody, Triple H, even Miz, who gets mentioned on that show too. Truth, who's been around forever, and if you don't, whether you like him or not, you can respect the fact that he has longevity and he's been doing this for a long time. And could
Ron
be
Killings in TNA.
all over the place.
I remember watching him in TNA when I was younger. That was he was good then too. Like
versus the Young Bucks, who couldn't get over if you flipped them. I mean, like it's ridiculous.
You know, if you call back to something an X did, then nobody knows who the X is. Like, oh, this person did this like in 8th grade.
Your equation is shit.
It doesn't work.
There's a quote from Albert Einstein, by the way.
It doesn't.
Your equation is shit.
What do you think of the new championship belts?
I saw it coming, which I called on this a long time ago too, when they stopped doing the Raw Women's Champion, SmackDown Women's Champion. Good, because it can make more sense for the brand split when it comes to the Raw champions are on SmackDown and the SmackDown.
Right.
Now you can flip flop whatever it is. I imagine they're probably going to stay on Raw, but like it's good to get some continuity with it too. World champion. Okay, all those designs kind of look the same. Okay, it's the world. Just like when on SmackDown, they're going to debut the WWE Tag Team Championships, which will be insufferable because Austin Theory and Grayson Waller are just
low key.
The thirst trap you don't want to watch, but you do.
Low key, they're pretty effing entertaining.
So,
not gonna lie to you.
But the thing, I for some reason it came up on my timeline recently. I watched the John Cena promo on Austin Theory again before last WrestleMania. Like, Austin Theory needs to get fired.
He needs to be fired.
He needs his Drew McIntyre. He was in Evolve before because it's when he came through NXT, and he was getting some experience. But the dude is so fucking young.
Yeah.
He's like 25,
Yeah.
26, and he's already done a lot. Drew in his first run was a multi-time Intercontinental Champion, Tag Team Champion, whatever.
Look completely different.
But it felt like he was missing something. In theory, feels like he's just missing. That guy should be the next John Cena. There's no reason why he shouldn't be. He should be The Rock right now with his persona, with his looks, with his talking ability, with his in-ring work. Well, he should be that guy.
Well, I think this tag team run right now.
I hope it helps, but
I think it's going to.
But they're over invested in Grayson Waller. Which I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Grayson's awesome too, but Grayson feels more ready. Theory, I don't know. But there's just something like he almost needs to go away for 4 or 5 years and go wrestle in MLW and in fucking New Japan. And
I'll put you this way: I think when this tag team run is done, if he did go away after this tag team run, I think he'd come back. I'm not saying the way we talk about like MJF, but I'm just saying like he would go somewhere, make some kind of an impact, and then he could come back stronger than before. I do believe, though, that this run in the tag team division is going to help him. I never saw the whole he's the next John Cena.
It's because they signed him so young, and he, even in NXT, got over so quick.
But I didn't see, like when we was younger, Randy Orton. Could he have, like, a Randy Orton type run, right? Where, like, you knew when he was young, Randy, the legend killer, like, that's a future star. And even though Randy Orton had a failed championship run for, like, a month, he still
3 weeks.
Randy Orton basically sent him to SmackDown. He immediately got into a feud with The Undertaker for Mania, and he basically recovered his career, and he's been off and running.
It feels like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe people out there.
This is legitimate. I understand.
It feels like he was going to be that guy.
I got you.
Where it's like, okay, 20 years from now, we're looking at Austin Theory like, shit, he's been like a 12-time champion, and he's done all this great. He's won a Royal Rumble. I just don't. Maybe it's booking part 2. Maybe that's the whole part of this now as well. But Vince loved Austin Theory. So I don't know.
Well, the Vince
Almost too much.
It was too much. I wonder because Triple H basically took him off television when he took over.
But Triple
Vince was
Triple H also signed him though when he was down in NXT. So I mean that's where it's like.
But it wasn't the Triple H stamp of approval. The main roster Austin Theory.
We'll see, man.
Main roster Austin
I don't
Theory
know.
at that point in time was the copycat. And then remember Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Put him in his place.
Yeah.
Daddy ain't here anymore. That was a great line, by the way.
Yeah.
That was a great.
Almost
line.
as good as you were once the chosen one. Who chose you? Say his name. Go ahead. That was great by CM Punk.
I know. That was fan. If somebody's watching this, can they scan a QR code through like a YouTube, video, and then like? Actually,
I don't know about that.
Can you do? Pete, are you allowed to do?
We'll try and scan
work?
it. Try and scan it. Double A, see if you can scan it.
Let me see if I can. We have our computers on the side here. Let me see if I can actually scan this.
Apparently you are blocking it though a little bit. So.
Oh.
Well, if you lean more my way, you're probably gonna still block it.
Well, I'm not gonna do it here.
You have to scan the actual computer.
I'm gonna scan the actual computer. Let me see. Kyle, start talking.
You went to the screen behind us.
Illusion, guy. Look,
You
can
can't.
I explain?
It doesn't. I don't think it's gonna work like that because it's still kind of distorted too there. But I mean, I wanted to talk about this because I'm fucking excited. I was really excited until that. Because if this ends
now
up
the full
no, not the full screen.
Okay.
It's the person who shared it.
Oh yeah.
If this is Matt Hardy coming back to WWE, I'm gonna be really depressed.
Wasn't that the point? Matthew
No.
Hardy is the depressing man.
The point is,
You know what Amy did to him, right?
get the fuck over it. It's been 20 years. They're both married to other people.
To other people, yes.
They both have
You
families.
were the one. You were the one, Amy.
That's
and
the
you messed
crazy
with
part.
Adam.
Can you believe that? So like after all that shit,
Mm.
the one person who's still single and not happy is Lita. Edge, married, Beth Phoenix, beautiful family, two
Yeah.
beautiful girls. Fucking Matt Hardy, Rebby Sky, they have like fucking like 14,000 kids.
I know.
Like and they're all over the place.
And
Like
they're all
it's
gonna wrestle probably.
oh my god.
And,
Like this.
and then there's Amy.
She's
I
just,
like Amy.
she's
but
just quiet backstage at WWE Hall of Fame when Trish Stratus is hugging Bayley.
crazy.
It's nuts. Yeah, I got really excited about this because at first I was like, wait a minute, there's a glitch. I think the first one happened on Raw a couple weeks ago,
Mm.
and I was like, maybe it was like my screen clip. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna like just look up on TikTok. After like 30 minutes later, I'm like, let me just see if there's anything there.
Uh-huh.
And in the bottom right hand corner, there was like a little hello.
Yeah.
And I was like, here we fucking go. And now we got these. I actually looked up the when you went to that and it took you to like the map or whatever it
Yeah.
was. You had to connect the words.
Oh, yeah.
It took you to a video that played showing like Play-Doh in his cave. It was like it's something along the lines of, and I think did I even like maybe take a screenshot of what it said because I didn't want to forget it because it was really fucking good. The hidden message is from Plato's cave.
Mm.
And what that means is an escape from ignorance. Reality is but a construction. The world is only as big as we can imagine. Plato's cave has at its heart internal conflict. If we open our minds to new ideas and belief systems, we can expand our universe.
He doesn't need to be a pro wrestler. He needs to be in the presidential election.
This made me.
The heck with pro wrestling. No, don't come back to WWE. Go work for RFK Jr.
This made me go. This is beyond. This is not Matt Hardy. I was like, there's no way this is Matt Hardy. This felt very much like Bo Dallas, like Uncle Howdy.
Yeah.
Like, and that made me. You forgot about us, all that stuff. He can use the chip of, Bray got the documentary, but he wasn't inducted.
He could.
People, it came to the point where my dad and my uncle had to go say something for him at the Hall of Fame, wear his T-shirts on the stage at WrestleMania to even get a mention.
Yeah.
You guys didn't even bring him up once besides this fucking documentary that I poured my heart into, and he could even get honored. Like there's so many ties in the way he worded this to what it means. Screams Bray Wyatt. Like there's I hope to Christ that this is what they're doing with him, and eventually it's going to lead to another big reveal. They're playing the music too in the stadiums.
arenas too.
It all goes back
in
to
the
when Bray
arenas.
came back. Like, it makes sense to do it this way. But I swear to fucking God, if this is Matt Hardy, I'm going to literally just fucking bang my head against my fucking dresser. Like, it's.
You don't want
We
to
all
do
want-
that.
we
You
want
can't
the-
get a QR code to get a new dresser.
There's one reason we want the Hardys to come back to WWE, and it's to go into the Hall of Fame and then fucking leave. They're done. Like,
You want them to sign a 1-day contract?
yes, do it. Rashard Higgins and fucking Kiko Alonso, whatever his name
That'd
was.
be
did.
wrong at WWE to sign them to a 1-day contract.
Fucking sign them to a 1-day contract, and it's the day before WrestleMania, so they can get to the Hall of Fame and then kick their asses out. Like, it's we're done.
Oh, man.
No offense to Matt and Jeff. Jeff has a lot of shit he needs to deal with still,
Yeah.
personal wise. I think he's hurt too.
Yeah.
And then Matt, dude, you had your run. Like, and you had your run as a main guy too, not in WWE because you couldn't get over, but as, main guy where you were before. If this is the Hardys, I'm gonna be really sad.
Could be a curveball. We'll see.
First time I'll question Triple H. If he went through all this trouble and he had this literal setup similar to Bray when he came back, and have it not be, at least if Matt and Jeff came back as part of the Wyatt family, a little better, but still not exactly what we want. We want to see Braun. We want to see Eric Rowan, who just got apparently re-signed to WWE. We want to see Alexa.
And maybe they could be working for Uncle Howdy, like the great
Or Matt could
good.
just be appreciating it because he's.
Like,
I was Bray's confidant because Bray and Matt had a thing.
If he came out, if Matt came out, it's like, I work for Uncle Howdy. I work for him, and you still will have.
I don't want
Uncle
any.
Howdy.
I don't want any ties. I really
Okay,
don't.
I got you.
I don't want him to touch this with a 10-foot pole.
I guess for me personally, I want to be excited about the Uncle Howdy stuff, and I think when it actually happens, I think I will be. I think my issue, I don't think Vince handled Bray Wyatt's storylines as well as he could have. They were too inconsistent for me. I don't think he understood the balance between, realism and fantasy with Bray Wyatt and his stories.
Well, Triple H is going to get a crack at it.
Triple H is going to have a shot.
I'm looking forward for him to really,
Again, Triple H has built enough cred to where, hey, you know what? Take a stab at it.
It was his initial idea, along with Bray's, to do the QR codes. How do we make this return big, different, that kind of thing?
Yeah. The returns they've always knocked out of the park. Is then afterwards, all the execution.
Well, to be fair too, Wyndham never really had a chance to actually build.
I know. I'm not talking about.
But
I'm not talking about like the later stages. I mean like.
I'm just excited to see. I'm excited to see Bo Dallas in a prominent role and him given an opportunity to sink or swim. Because I think the dude's super fucking creative and super good. But the problem is he got booked as when he started NXT the Bo Leave bullshit, and then he went to the main roster and was the Miz. The Miz's side piece, essentially, that kind of thing, when the Miz was IC champ, when he was with Curtis Axel and all that. He's had runs, but in a way it's kind of similar to Bray's story.
Yeah.
He's had runs as different characters that really didn't work out as well as they should have, or just weren't going to work out. What's his final form? And I think an alteration of The Fiend as Bo living through Bray and his character and being able to bring his own spin onto it.
Yeah.
And bringing in Braun Strowman, Eric Rowan, probably Alexa Bliss too in that situation. That'd be fucking awesome.
And how will they be booked? I think all that's going to be...
Triple H will be able to find... I trust him a lot more than I would Vince in that situation.
Yeah, that's going to be very important. All right.
What a fucking entrance. Dude.
We're gonna get to... I thought this story was incredible. And also still to come, we'll get to... there's a list of guys, contracts, or we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
This entrance, if you didn't see it, go on Twitter, find it. One continuous shot started with Jey Uso going backstage. Can I mention one thing? You know where I'm going with Jey Uso. When he was backstage, you see that fan? You see that he pushed that fan? That fan had it coming. That fan had it coming. Everybody, it's a TV show, guys. This is a TV show. If you walked your ass all the way back on Snow Road and you're trying to get a picture with a man and you end up on Pearl and you're in the way, it's going to push you out the fucking way.
Who cares? I didn't even notice it, Honestly.
Oh, go back after the show. Go
was
back.
there like some sort of like uproar or upsetness about that?
No, the kid was in the fucking way.
Oh, it was a little kid?
No, it wasn't a little kid. If it was a little kid, it would be different.
He should have yeeted his ass out the building.
He should have. It was a grown adult. It was a grown adult who wanted to while he was walking, wanted to get a selfie on live television, see all the cameras and stuff, and he got in Jay's way, and Jay pushed him. Good. Don't do that.
I like this new setup that they're doing. And, like, obviously we know what the match led to, which we'll talk about in a minute. But, like, the different, just like, hey, let's do something different.
And then they're not just doing it just to do it. It all ties. A lot of things are happening. Jay, first off, Cody basically confirming what we talked about before.
He's on SmackDown now.
He's going to be SmackDown.
Yeah.
Cody basically gave his endorsement to Jey Uso as you're kind of, as of this moment right now until the draft, you're the face of Monday Nights.
Especially because Seth isn't here, yeah.
Yeah, you're the face of Monday Nights.
You're the
Here
boy.
you go.
You're the guy.
Jay said, I got to do this on my own. Was offered help, and he turned it down. I got to do this on my own.
Until we yeet again.
Uh-huh. Ghost, they have the
Yeet.
match or whatever. By the way, keep a close eye. We're not going to have time to really talk about it. Keep a close eye. Damian Priest did not jump in.
He said he was going to head down there and took his sweet fucking time until Finn lost, and then he showed up.
I know. Keep a close eye on Judgment Day stuff. Keep a close eye.
Especially with Rhea being gone for a couple months.
Yeah. How is Judgment Day going to look when Rhea comes back?
And I don't think Damian Priest really cares anymore. I think he got what he wanted out of it. He's champion.
Yeah.
So he's like, all right, well, I don't really need these guys anymore. I mean,
He kind of don't.
he's going to slowly care less and less until they just don't end up being a faction anymore.
Kind of doesn't.
It'll eventually lead to Finn and Damian, which would be fun.
Can you see a babyface world champion Damian Priest?
I think you're probably more likely to see a babyface Finn.
Okay.
Because Damian's just going to eventually just say fuck it and just turn on him.
Gotcha.
And that's how we get the demon back too, which would be awesome.
Gotcha.
Now not in Vince Demon. I want Triple H Demon.
Okay.
NXT Demon Finn Balor was fucking awesome. Main roster Demon Vince McMahon was doing the heartbeats on the ground and silly stupid shit. Like the whole point of the Demon was to bring out it's like the Fiend. It was like to bring out the darkest part of your persona, of your mind, of your heart, and go out there and just like not even fucking care, just go.
But it has to organically happen.
Exactly.
It can't just be.
Well, it was saved.
It's that time.
It was saved for personal things or like the big championship match. Ironically enough, both could tie into this.
Yeah.
So I hope to see that. I think Finn is one of those guys that I know you're not a big fan of him, but like he's somebody that
Finn is growing on me. He is.
He is. I think undervalued, and it sucks, man. You talk about momentum. That shoulder injury killed him because he would have been probably a 4 or 5-time WWE champion. The way he was being pushed at that moment.
Who's the first ever Universal Champion?
Finn Balor. All one day of it. I mean, like it's crazy to think about. Like, but like he was.
Him and Tony Khan should work together.
Well,
they could reference the same thing.
That's the thing too. Whenever Finn's contract's up,
yeah, we'll get to the contracts in a bit.
God.
All right, so. Jay goes to the back, pushes that fan, and then walks outside, catches Sammy. In the old Vince days,
Sammy's
that would have just randomly happened and they would have moved on. But Jay was like, what are you doing?
They wouldn't even
First of all, why are you outside? And then Sammy went into the whole backstory. And then here's the cool thing. When the camera started to follow Sammy, Sammy's like, come on. It's like a Fight Club deal. Where it's like,
come with me, yeah.
Come with me. This is my city. Come with me.
You get to experience this with me. Watch this. And
then you get this.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But even going into the arena, you mentioned Vince's old camera shots. It would have stopped when Jay left the arena. Like when he walked out behind that Raw sign, it would have been done. Sammy's in the back. He gets a loud pop. Okay, we're going to break. When we come back, here comes Sami Zayn. Now,
look at all those happy fans, too.
Well, the want by Triple H to find new things and the new director, no more Kevin Dunn. Like the new director being able to be innovative and going, hey.
From ESPN.
Sammy's from Montreal, right? Yeah, okay. And he was here last year and they went crazy for him, right? Yeah. And they love him here. Yeah, okay. So let's make him enter different. How do we do that? Well, we could have Jay leave because the Judgment Day run in. and let's just fucking follow him out.
Yeah.
And Sammy could just be admiring the view.
Yeah.
It's so organic and so simple, but it feels like, wow, they really went to a lot of effort to do all that when they really fucking didn't. Like, honestly. Like, it was a simple idea that was fucking cool. Sammy got that. They had to go to break during his fucking entrance because it was so long because he was doing laps around the Bell Center, like, or whatever it's called. I mean,
And
crazy.
And here's the cool thing.
Look back to me. Looked pretty sold out. I don't know. But
The cool thing, too, McAfee jumped it a couple times. No complaints about that. But Cole, and for the most part, McAfee, they both laid out the entire time.
Why not? Talk about getting reactions, right?
This is telling the story. This is storytelling. This is, last time I was in this building, I suffered the greatest loss of my career, the greatest disappointment of my career, where I could have won a Universal Championship for Roman Reigns and break the bloodline. I didn't do it. I want to make my city proud. And I'm going to win. I'm going to go in as champion. I'm going to walk out as champion.
He did.
And he did.
But there was an angry midget that got in the way. An angry miniature Kurt Angle that said, I'm not done with you yet. That was
Chad Gable has not had a singles pay-per-view match since 2019.
That's about to change.
And that's about to change. And again.
And it should be a submission match, but that's just me.
I think they'll eventually do it.
Yeah.
Long-term storytelling. Even going back months, right? Why did Chad Gable attack Sammy? Like, what made him snap? In front of his family. It all goes back to Chad Gable. Chad Gable loved professional wrestling, loved the art and the craft of professional wrestling, and he had his moment, and months ago, and he suffered his greatest defeat in front of his family. And ever since then, you like think even as an athlete, think about like the all-time greats, or not even all-time greats, just athletes in general. They do everything right, but for some reason, they can't close the deal.
There can only be one winner. Yeah. You could, in the NBA, you could be, hustling and bustling, winning 60-plus games, MVP, but you could lose in the first round. You could do everything right, and just for some reason, it doesn't work out.
And he had the correct train. They showed him training with the Creed brothers. Why was he not training with his own tag team?
There have been subtle changes, too, if you've noticed, like over the past couple months. He's not wearing his Alpha Academy gear in the back anymore. He's starting to wear suits. He's starting to change. He's starting a little more buttoned up. He's trying to be a little more professional.
Mm-hmm.
He's like probably looking, it's almost like a self-looking, like, what do I need to do to finally get over that hump? Do I have to stop doing this shit? Do I have to stop doing the dancing around? He hasn't even been seen with Alpha Academy.
Nope.
Over the past, 2, 3, 4 weeks almost?
He might have did one thing, and that was it.
Even then, and he probably told him to go away. I think he told him to go away. I have to talk to Jay or
Yeah.
something like that. Or I have to talk to Sammy.
Yeah.
He's distanced himself from the silliness and is now obviously gone full-blown heel. I imagine there's going to be some sort of falling out. They'll probably show it kind of like AJ Styles and the OC on SmackDown.
Yeah.
But, this is...
This is how you build a star right here. This is how you build a freaking star.
He is phenomenal in the ring. But if you took him and gave him no story and put him in AEW, he'd do the same thing all the other stars there that are really good in the ring would do. Draw 800,000 people a week on TV. But the story makes the difference. And Double A just said it. He built him up. They built the reasons for why he cracked. He's pissed the fuck off. I couldn't get the job done across multiple times. Sammy beats me to get the opportunity. Then I help him. And he achieves my goal. I get my opportunity against Sammy because all the hard work, I finally get to pay it off and get to face the guy that I helped train. I know his weaknesses, and I still don't get it done.
And then, here's the best part. Yeah, he's pissed, he's upset, but he's going to lose with class, put his, Sammy's arm up.
Sammy goes and hugs his family.
And then, and Gable was cool, and then as soon as he saw with the family,
Snap.
You have got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. That was supposed to be my moment. That's supposed to be my family.
The best heel turns in this business are based on emotion. They're based on real reasons why you could see getting pissed off. I've worked my ass off for 10, 15 years in this business just to watch this guy get to hug his dad, kiss his wife in front of his hometown fans over my body. Fuck this. I'm pissed. I'm mad. I'm tired of losing. you know what? Wrong place, wrong time. I'm taking your ass.
Yeah.
Like, they could honestly sell this as not even like a Sammy. It's not even just about you. It's about me.
Yeah.
It's about struggling and grinding for all these years and still not finding a way to get on top, to find my way through.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I need to make a change. And that starts by taking your ass out in front of your family. That kind of thing. You can build the mental of, he just broke down. I try to be positive. I did all the fucking thank yous. So instead of doing thank you, he should be doing you're welcome now. That would be big.
Clip that. If that happens.
That's how you get this guy over. And it sells, too. As a heel, he can still sell shirts.
No. They could sell shirts here. That would be crazy. All right. So we got a few guys here and a woman. So
Don't talk about Drew like that. I'm kidding.
I'm going to mention the names because it might be cut off the screen. So over on Kyle's left shoulder is Drew McIntyre. You know the guy on his right shoulder, Sethel. I love calling him that. You got Mr. Rollins. You got Becky.
Mrs. Rollins.
And then over my right shoulder, your right, my left, MJF.
Who apparently is WWE bound if you ask Liv Morgan. So
Interesting.
she said there's no reason why you wouldn't want to come here, right?
All right, so let's go through this quick here. All four of these individuals, their contracts are either coming to an end or as close.
So the three from left to right, Drew, Seth, and Becky, all their contracts apparently expire sometime between June and August. Right? I think that's
I believe so, yeah.
a fair range. I think Drew maybe be a little later because of injury or something like that. Missed time. But Seth and Becky, I believe, is June.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of talk about, like, hey, why aren't these deals getting done? WWE has a new VP of signing or whatever it is. It's like handling more of this now, so you're just getting accustomed. It's become more common for superstars to wait until close to the end of their contracts to sign new deals now, apparently, except for someone like Cody, I guess. But there's some concern about, obviously, those two. I think any of these four would be kind of naive not to want to like heavily kick the tires on WWE just because of where it's at, what it is. And are you really going to make enough of a wave? Don't be the reason why you go to AEW because of Edge. Look at all these people I've never wrestled before. I can have all these dream matches. I can wrestle all my friends. That's not going to do anything for you. If you are fine with working 1 day a week, which we know Seth doesn't like doing. Seth likes to work. He'll work himself into the ground.
We'll see.
But
with them both being home now, at the same time,
one's home, one's on a book tour.
We're gonna see because again, and you know, you're a parent, you know this.
The WWE schedule
can things change when you have a child?
The WWE schedule. I'm also tired of people saying, "Oh, they work so." WWE goes, if you work on the house shows, the live shows, there's only 2 a week, and you usually only work 1 because it's one's for Raw, one's for SmackDown. Usually,
they have cut dramatically.
You're working
back.
2, possibly 3 days a week. That's it. You get 4 days at home, and these are not movie stars. Becky has her book tour. I get that, but she's also off of TV right now. Like, MJF wants to be a movie star, which he needs to go to WWE if he wants the platform to get to that point. He's not going to get there in AEW. But it's not like 10, 15, 20 years ago where you're working 7 days a week. You're gone. You're only home for 15 days a year. You're home more than you're away by a lot.
So
like that's not an excuse anymore. It isn't.
So you're right, I think, in terms of, don't go over just because you can wrestle new people, unless you truly.
Also, unless
you do want to wrestle everybody, fine. But,
guy with the hands up, he is a Paul Levesque guy if there ever was one.
Oh yeah.
Triple H has personally made it his mission since NXT started to get Seth over.
If I'm Becky, though, if I'm Rebecca, that's her real name. If I'm Becky, I'm looking at Sasha Banks' contract.
She just did the book, so that's her money. She's a bestseller.
All I'm saying is,
she
she could look at Mercedes contract and say, I'm going to be more of an Impact player than her, obviously.
Maybe. Look who's writing the fucking show.
But if Tony is willing to pay all these people crazy amount of money, and if it's basically play money, then we do have to consider that the 3 WWE people could jump.
It's the only person I could realistically see is Drew. Just because I can't see coming to the ring Tyler Black. I can't see coming to the ring Rebecca Quinn.
I know.
MJF obviously is already with the company in AEW. I imagine that he's either got injury time added on too or whatever it is. But
by the way, when I pulled these, you can get obviously the 3 WWE people on WWE.com. You cannot go to AllEliteWrestling.com.
It's all by design too. Like I said, I'm sure he already re-signed with AEW just because it's one of those things. But there's been some talks like, oh, he hasn't been around. He was in Boston for big business, but he wasn't obviously going to be on the show. He was just talking with executives. I mean, I'd be shocked if MJ. And I know I've said before, like I do want to go to WWE. I think at the end of the day, he needs to go to WWE. But I would not be surprised at all if he's back in AEW TV when Adam Cole comes back, whatever it is. I mean, their injuries kind of lined up. So, I mean, it's going to be around the same time they both should be returning, summer, end of summer, that kind of thing. I mean, it's wishful thinking, and I hope he does end up doing it. But at the same point, the other 3, they just show Drew can be pushed as a main eventer, especially with Seth taking time off, whatever it is. I imagine he'll be back in that World Heavyweight title scene pretty in short order, or possibly going for Cody, one of the two. But he'll be around there. Seth is... Honestly, with Roman gone, Seth is the top guy in the company. I know Cody is the champion, but as far as trusted worker, that's the guy.
No pun intended, the bloodline of...
He's the Shawn Michaels of this era right now.
Yeah.
We talk about AJ Styles. I think AJ was the Shawn Michaels of his era. We're kind of past that a little bit now, even though AJ's getting a little bit of a resurgence in this heel gimmick. But Seth is like the current Shawn Michaels, and there's one thing that guy doesn't want to do. Triple H, just let go of someone like that.
Yeah. All right. Let's just. So January of 2025. Where are these guys at? I'll start. I think McIntyre. I think one of them does jump. I think McIntyre is going to jump. I think right now he's the hottest point of his career. I think Drew is the type of guy who wants to fight other people, and I think Drew would take the money.
We got
and go to AEW. So what, he's going to make slide disses to CM Punk when he's on the other show?
This is not his contract's not over in December. It's over in like August at the latest. So that means he wouldn't get that match. Or if he did get the match with CM Punk, it'd be a one-off.
It'll be a one-off.
Which all this build, all this effort, I don't think creatively he'd want to do that.
It would be tough.
It'd be very tough to sell Drew on leaving in that scenario because of all the work it's his best work he's put into that. He can't do that over there. There's nobody he can invest that kind of storyline.
I guess my thing is, would Tony give him the money that WWE simply can't?
I think WWE would give Drew top guy money. He'd get the same.
No. We're not talking Tony Khan top guy money.
These guys are
compared to.
They're not much higher paid. Roman Reigns is more higher paid than anybody on AEW's roster.
We'll see. My whole thing though is we'll see.
He's making 8 figures. Like he's making $10-12 million a year. Like he's doing crazy numbers.
Tony Khan has proven to be reckless with his money. That's all I'm saying.
If you want to spend $20+ million a year for Drew McIntyre,
I think
have the needle move. And it's not Drew's fault, but have the needle move from here to there.
I think he might. Seth and Becky, WWE. Everything you said, and
I just can't.
And they're
see
a package deal.
I can't.
Although there will be rumors about Becky jumping because of what I said before. They're going to look at Sasha's contract, and so there will be talks. But I think Becky's going to make a lot more money, and they'll be at WWE. I think MJF is coming here.
Really?
I think MJF is coming to WWE. I think MJF will be. MJF will be at WrestleMania 41.
Wow. Okay. My turn.
In Las Vegas.
Is that where it's going to be?
Rumor.
Still hasn't announced yet. Tiffany Stratton thought it was going to be in Minnesota. She was all excited. I think everyone on the screen stays where they are.
Okay.
I think it's going to be very anticlimactic. I think MJF has already resigned. I think we're all just kind of getting fed bullshit. It's AEW's way of trying to, it's a story, even though we're late to telling you it's a story, because technically December 31st was supposed to be the end of it. They could have played that up so much more, and they didn't. Shocker, Tony's 3 months late to do a story that's actually could have been prevalent 3 months ago. Or 9 months ago, whatever. But, yeah, I think MJF is still a contract away. I think you're right, he will be in WWE at some point. But like I said, when you're 27, he's got time. He can sign a 3-year deal with AEW. And then when he's 30, 31, that's when he can make the jump. The guys like the Seths and the Romans will be a little more further down the road. He can kind of step in with the Carmelo Hayeses, the Braun Breakers, those kind of guys, and really hit the ground running in that youth movement. And kind of almost, Triple H probably would tell him, like, hey, man, I'll be honest with you, man, I want you here. I really do. But looking at our landscape now, all the youth we have coming up, I almost want you to get a little more experience.
Yeah.
And this is not, tell him, you're 27 years old, man. You still got some stuff there I think you probably want to finish up too. You did that story with Adam. Take care of all that. And then when you're a free agent again, man, please give me that call. Or I'm going to call you either way. But we definitely want you here. But it feels like maybe it's not the right time.
We'll see. I think the time is right.
Of course, I do too. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he signs. I hope all 4 of them go to WWE. But yeah.
All right, let's fly through a few of these because we're running short on time.
Yeah.
Cody, been the world champion, WWE champion for, a couple weeks now.
Week and a half.
Week and a half.
People are already calling it a failed reign.
At this point,
what the fuck?
At this point, you don't have a challenger yet. You will on Friday for, his first challenger. It was always designed, when you have a B-level pay-per-view, you have a top-level huge storyline. Yeah, you need a cool down period.
Let it percolate. Everyone's like, "Oh, Solo should have challenged him right away." It's like, let him rebuild the bloodline first. Let him build it in his image.
We mentioned last week, I think, or last week or 2 weeks ago, you mentioned the first challenger should have been Solo. But do you like the approach that they're going with now?
I think the fact that it gets, I'm assuming it's probably going to be AJ who gets the title match, because LA Knight versus Cody doesn't really make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
Great first challenger for Cody. It's going to be a great match in front of the people in Paris. And you give the Bloodline time to essentially kind of pull a cell from Dragon Ball Z and regenerate. Hopefully in a better form than they were before, with Solo and obviously Tama Tonga there now, which, what a fucking debut for that dude.
Yeah.
Talk about, okay, so nobody knows who this guy is, right? He came from Japan. He was part of the Bullet Club, one of the founding members. He's been over there forever. Did a little bit of work with AEW and all that kind of stuff too, right? But he finally comes to WWE. How do you get someone like that to be the most viewed clip on WWE social media in his first week there? You attach him to a story that is the best told story possibly in wrestling history.
And how about
Solo fucking killed it, by the way.
Solo killed it. Finally.
He's been calling for
Solo.
it.
You know what?
He wanted to talk for a long time. I told you he was waiting. He was literally watching every single thing Roman did. It all makes sense now, right? He watched even to the hug to the brothers. I love you. You're my brother. He did it with Jay and Jimmy.
I wonder if I have a Solo.
You have that guy.
I do not.
And you have that one too, yeah.
Oh,
we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
You know, you're just shuffling through them. That one was like a butterfly.
I know. Actually, this guy is more relevant to this anyway.
Honestly, because it's all part of his. Yeah. He's pulling the strings, right? But I mean, it all leads to what it's going to lead to. Probably, I mean, I've seen the War Games Survivor Series stuff, the OG Bloodline versus the new Bloodline. You know, I mean, it's all fucking awesome, and that's how you get somebody over. You insert him into that story. Pat McAfee right away. That's Tama Tonga, and then they explain a little bit. He's beating him up. He looks like a fucking $1,000,000.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's always been shredded. Dude's fucking killed. Like, he's just massive, right?
By orders of the tribal chief.
No, he's not the tribal chief.
No.
He's the final boss. He, told Solo, there's got to be consequences for losing. That's why he came out on Monday and said those things to Cody.
That's why they couldn't go to the locker room. Their new locker room was a closet.
They didn't have a locker room anymore. It was fucking Cody's. Paul told him, hey, yeah, he's the champ. This is the champ's locker room.
It's like, By the way, you're not invited.
Great. But that was honestly, it's all tying in full circle. You're going to get babyface Roman Reigns down the road when he comes back. I imagine this is how we get Jacob Fatu at some point in the storyline. Possibly Zilla Fatu, another one of the younger guys. Yeah. He's the youngest of the Fatus that are really starting to blow the fuck up. If not, you always have someone like Sammy to fall back on.
So now, all right, Jay's been doing his thing. Now, Jimmy has to level up. Like if Jimmy's gonna go over and like he's gonna at some point ask to get back with his brother.
I think Jimmy is probably going to either at the France pay-per-view or possibly soon after come after Solo. They're gonna have their singles match,
and Solo's gonna kill him.
Solo's gonna beat the living shit out of him.
Yeah, he's gonna kill him.
And maybe Jimmy's walking backstage after just getting his ass kicked, or he's in the hospital, or he's in the trainer room or whatever it is. Knock at the door. Trainer opens the door. It's Jay. Cut.
It's time to come home.
It's like, and Jimmy's looking like.
But.
And then obviously you can have the Usos versus Solo and Tama, and that's where Jacob Fatu can debut too. The numbers game, right?
This whole bloodline, like
it's unbelievable. So many.
Rebecca brought up a great point the other day. Like Roman. Again, there's so many things about the bloodline that we will not have time to talk about tonight. But Roman has to go through like the 5 stages of grief. Like if you wanted to make a babyface turn, she made an elaborate point about you got to go through the 5 stages of grief. He does.
I don't think he does. I think he's already gone through all of that, and the fact that there's going to be someone else leading his family is enough to hopefully pull him back sooner than we think.
Will he get cheer when he comes back?
Oh, 100%.
100%.
Just even from even if this never happened, because of his title reign, the first moment back will be a huge, holy yeah, Roman fucking Reigns. Now, what he chose to do after that, if it was more of the same bloodline shit, then obviously they'll come back around and start booing him again. But because of this new iteration of what it is and what his role will probably be, oh my God, it'll be like the second coming of Christ. People are going to lose their mind.
I didn't get a chance to put this in our show, but he's filming a movie. Pete Davidson's in it.
Oh, Roman?
Uh-huh.
That could be why he's gone too, yeah.
Eddie Murphy's in it.
Oh, shit.
There's a couple other people in
What's the movie?
I don't know, but
you cannot set me up like that with Eddie Murphy.
I'm told it's a comedy, though.
Well, yeah, Eddie Murphy's in it.
Oh, yeah, I'm told it's a high.
He's not doing fucking Mission Impossible 12.
Yeah,
that's reserved for short white guys that aren't funny. I said it. We're going to get canceled by the Scientologists now.
You and Pete have that one.
I thought it was good.
We will have time to throw flowers at one of the all-time great runs professional wrestling has ever seen. And the run of the final boss.
It's not over yet.
I'm talking about the first run. Obviously, it's not over.
This is intermission.
It's a quarter break. There's more to go. But like hearing like Charles Barkley talking about the final boss, talking about his heel. Charles Barkley also mentioned that he wanted to kill Chad Gable. McAfee. That was actually pretty cool.
You got the guy who was on TNT's biggest show inside the NBA.
Yeah.
Talking about the other product.
Yeah.
Bingo, bango, bungo.
All right. I had to bring this up. We're going to play a little game here.
Look at that.
So.
What a picture.
These 3 women right here.
Fantastic, by the way. Awesome women.
You know who they are. But I want people to understand, when you attend a professional wrestling show, especially when there's people in attendance,
the cameras are on.
The cameras are on live. So
they're sneaking a peek and there's fucking jaw dropping to the floor, and we got some jaws dropping.
Man, just look at the crowd, look at some of the eyes, and look at where they're looking at.
What are you looking at?
What are you looking at?
What are you looking
sir?
over there? What are you looking at?
Look, there's a man right in the middle. He's wearing the Andre the Giant shirt in the front, looking directly at Bayley, but I don't think his eyes are looking up.
You know what? This is a new series we call What They Looking At, and we all know what they looking at. And I do not blame them one bit.
There's a gentleman.
I am a happily married man, but wow.
There's a guy on the left side or your left. Your left. Might be wearing an NWO. It might be off the screen though, but he's looking intently at Naomi.
There's a lot of options too when you think about it, and we're also being just awful sexist right now and very unfeministic. But I mean, there's a lot to look at in that ring. So, wow. Brava. SmackDown was great.
Oh yeah, SmackDown was great.
Oh, we're talking about
that's
this.
the end of the show. No, real quick before we wrap. Playoffs start this weekend. NBA playoffs. The Cavaliers. Obviously us being from Cleveland, we're highly intrigued in the Cavs. Cavaliers did the best they could to choke last Sunday to draw the Orlando Magic.
It's almost like they wanted to do that.
I know. Just amazing. Just amazing. Look, there's not a team in these playoffs that has more pressure on them as far as like roster construction and where things go than the Cavaliers. As in, will the Cavaliers do well enough for Donovan Mitchell to sign an extension this summer?
So he's still technically under contract for a few more years, but he can opt out.
Mm-hmm.
I think he still technically has 3 years left on his deal, but he has an opt out.
But his contract year is what, next year, I believe.
Or
the
he
year
has
after.
a couple years left, but yeah, but there's an opt out in his contract that he signed with Utah because it was Utah. But I mean, the Cavs are still a playoff team without Donovan Mitchell. Not a top 4 seed, but still. But at the same point, Darius Garland has almost kind of hindered his growth by playing with Mitchell because Donovan needs the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
He's not a spot-up shooter. He's not a off-the-ball kind of guy. He's a ball-dominant guard. In Garland's case, he is a great shooter, can finish around the rim, that kind of stuff, but he loves passing, the assists. That's why he's still averaging 6-7 assists a game, but he could be a 20 and 10 guy.
When you look at those two guys, in a way, it actually makes sense that them together has not gelled.
It's also the two small guards thing. See Portland with McCollum and Lillard. I mean, they got to the Western Conference Finals in that run, so I mean, there was still some good out of that. They made the playoffs a bunch of years.
So far.
Yeah, I think someone said this on ESPN at one point too. If your best player is a guard, and it's not like generational, like Steph Curry, that kind of stuff, where it's gonna be really hard to win.
Actually, if you look at the past, I believe 30 years, maybe even longer, of NBA champions, the only one that has had, their small guard,
Their point guard, they're under 6'2", 6'1", 6'3" guard.
Golden State.
Yeah, even Jordan with the Bulls, he's 6'6" shooting guard. He's a bigger guy. Like it's
makes it tough. And again, Evan Mobley has not. But you know what?
He's been hurt a lot too. Like this is a rough year from the injury standpoint. But now again, there's no excuse in the postseason.
But you know what though? I have my Cavs gear. Always positive. Jay, he also has his shirt from Voice of the Land podcast. But a season ago, they won an overtime game against Boston. And we're going to see. I think, you know what? No one has a lick of confidence in the Cleveland Cavaliers in these playoffs.
A lot of people have them winning this series just because the Magic are brand new here. The only guy that has experience in the playoffs in that team is Gary Harris. And he was riding the pine for Denver.
But they have a size difference, right? Orlando, or a little bit.
No, I mean the guards are a little bit taller, but there's nothing that it's the skill. The Cavs across the board should win this series. It'll probably go like 6 games, just because the Cavs don't have a lot of playoff experience either. But now you're going to see the limitations of JB Bickerstaff. Unfortunately, that's why this series could go 7, just because the coaching adjustments aren't there.
And you will see most of that series on NBA TV.
They're on ESPN on Saturday.
I know. But I'll be in St. Louis.
Yeah. Well, it's national TV. You can still watch it.
I'm just saying because I have Sling. So the Sling package was.
Did you hurt your arm? Like Rhea? Why do you have a sling?
Same thing that happened to Rhea. I got ESPN.
I tell jokes just to hear Pete with no shoes on laughing at me. That's why I tell my jokes.
I have the full they're like, hey, get the basketball package, $20 this month. Cool, I get to watch NBA playoff games. Oh crap, the Cavs are playing the Magic and they're on NBA TV. That was not included in the package. No announcement from nothing about the games being on Channel 43, nothing.
So how far do you have them going? Because if they win the series, they're probably going to get Boston. Probably, unless Boston shits the bed against.
I'm going to say they're going to win this series. As you can tell, I have a ton of confidence.
They match up well against a team like the Celtics and
I actually
Milwaukee.
think,
and
you know what? Here's the deal. If they look good in this series, prove that you can win one playoff series and win in good fashion. If you can win this series, then you can put up a good showing against Boston. And I mentioned, too, the Cavaliers have the most pressure only because if it completely bombs, the whole team's going to blow up.
No, just Mitchell. Everyone else is signed.
But that's kind of the point. But
it's going to be on Darius Garland.
The other team that has the most pressure,
Boston.
besides the Cavs, is Boston. 64
wins, best team in the NBA. They're the clear-cut favorite. Everyone has them going to the finals and winning.
Nobody else is left unless it's Denver again. But
LA and Denver is going to be a good series.
Oh, that's going to be great.
Because LeBron and AD were actually playing at a high level, too. So it's going to be...
Real quick, who's winning it all?
Do you already have a team?
I have a team in mind, but who's going to win? Who? All right,
You go first, because I'm still thinking.
There's a part of me that thinks Denver's going to repeat. Honestly, I think... Oh, I want to do this. I'm picking the Knicks.
With no Julius Randle, you're picking the Knicks.
I'm picking the Knicks.
He's not coming back.
I'm picking the Knicks.
They're missing a 20, 10, and 7 guy.
I know.
An all-star. Possibly their best player. I don't want to shit on Jalen Brunson, but still.
I know.
Because of UNC, I love UNC guys too, but still.
I'm picking the Knicks. I need to win some money.
If you're going to pay the Knicks, I'm going to pay the Timberwolves. We talk about most complete teams.
Nobody likes picks when they're boring,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and pick Boston.
The Timberwolves are one game off of the best team in the West.
We're not going to pick Boston and Denver. Let's get some variety here. Let's take a chance.
It's health, too. If the teams are healthy, Cavs healthy, Timberwolves have everybody back and healthy, I mean, it's going to be tough to beat that team 4 times, no matter who you are. Like Boston, tough team to beat 4 times. It can be done because we've seen it happen with this team, but they have Drew Holiday and some other pieces, too. Cavs, it can be done. But again, can they be healthy? Can they be more physical? People are talking about Evan Mobley. They're talking about Darius Garland. I want to see what Jared Allen does.
Yeah.
Because he said it. He had playoff experience, and he said, yeah, we kind of shrunk. Momo was too big.
I remember losing it on the fan last year because he did say, the lights were too bright. You don't publicly...
Can't be too bright now.
You cannot... First off, you can't say that. Even if you're right, you can't say that. But
he could have meant that too for his teammates as well.
He could say that in the locker room.
You
don't say that in public in front of fans.
You don't say that if it's not going to bear any sort of fruit. So that was a public challenge to his team. Hey, you know what? Yeah, lights are too bright. We fell short. Now what are you going to do about it? He obviously had an amazing season. I think 16 and 12 or whatever it was. Yeah. Top 5 in rebounding, top 5 in field goal percentage. He killed it. Block shots, all that stuff. He's got to bring it now in the postseason. It can't be too bright for him. Carry your team because I need you down there.
All right. So playoffs begin this weekend. I will be in St. Louis. I'll let you know how that trip goes.
I'll enjoy my weekend. You have fun laboring through Sunday. You're going to have a great time until Sunday, around 7, 8 o'clock.
Until Sunday night.
It's all downhill from there.
That's actually how the Mania trip went, by the way. Mania 35.
Yeah.
The trip was great, and then the pay-per-view. Well, Kofi Mania was great, and then just...
Did you, are you coming back that night, too, Sunday night?
No. Monday is a travel day.
Okay, so you took Monday off.
Yeah, Monday will be a travel day.
Smart. Yeah.
And then...
You're gonna need.
I gotta be in the office at some point next week.
You're gonna need to. You're gonna need to
People
rest.
Join me in the office.
You're gonna need a couple days after that pay-per-view to kind of get your bearings about you. So.
All right.
Dizzy from all the fucking flipping and flying and flopping.
Follow us on YouTube or subscribe on YouTube. Thank you for all those who have subscribed on YouTube.
Yeah.
On our page, also LPV Productions. Subscribe there as well on YouTube. On the Facebook page, the TikTok, the Twitter, everything. Thank you guys again. We're doing our best to put up more content and stuff. And again, we thank you all for the support.
Yeah, the Fix It series that we're gonna try and do, probably gonna air that first episode beginning of May.
All right.
We want Double A
We
to
do
go.
have to actually watch the show.
So you're gonna do this. We're gonna have a breakdown of Dynasty.
No. We're both gonna do this. We're both gonna watch
I'm not watching Dynasty.
Dynamite.
Well, yeah, I'll try and watch Dynamite. I'm not gonna watch. I'm not paying $60 to watch Dynasty. But
We're not counting pay-per-view. You need to watch
next
Dynamite.
week. You're gonna review Dynasty on the show because you went
That's
there.
fine. That I can do.
I want to hear about your experience.
That
right?
I can do. But if we do this AEW thing,
I will record one episode of Dynamite and watch it over the course of multiple days because I'll get frustrated and turn it off. That's how it's going to work. But we'll come back beginning of May, first week of May. We'll drop an episode in and try to give you guys like one episode a month of fixing, topics, and also leave comments. What do you want to see us fix? Is there certain, promotions? Is there certain, gimmicks you saw from certain wrestlers throughout the years? A certain angle you thought maybe could have been done better, kind of dropped the ball a little bit. Give us some material to use, and we want to throw it back out at you guys, and obviously have you see our take on how we'd be able to fix it. So
I don't have a cool send-off, so good night.
you don't want to do the thing?
No. I want to actually respect the screen this week.
You could just
So I'm just casually...
you can fall back to the previous one if you want.
No. I think that was retired.
That was a quick retirement.
No, it retired because...
Retired at 15 weeks?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the president gets elected? I'm fucking done. Sir, you've been here for 3 months. 15 weeks is enough.
Your announcer for the Yankees basically did that.
85 years old. He's been doing it for like 50 years.
There's no excuses. Finish the season. Finish the story.
The camera angles are probably cutting up again, looking funny when you walked off.
Finish the story, John Sterling.
Damn it.
You had a responsibility. Finish the story.
We lost to the Blue Jays and you left.